You're listening to episode 75 of the Fierce Fatty podcast. How to change your neural pathways and unhelpful beliefs. I'm your host, Victoria Wellesby. Let's do it. I'm Victoria Wellesby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and pretty low self-esteem to being a courageous my life from hating my body who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money, and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed, or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty podcast. Let's begin. Hello, Fatty. Welcome to this episode. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. How's life? It's St. Patrick's Day here in the past. Hello, it's Victoria from the past talking to you, human of the future. What's the future like? Well, today it's St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th. My mum sent me a video of a green and white and orange parrot doing an Irish jig to some Irish music this morning when I woke up. So I like that. Can you hear this? Yes. Imagine a parrot dancing, doing a little jig. So yeah, because my mum is Irish. Most of my family are Irish. I'm half Irish. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Hey, don't you listen up here. Don't you call it Patty's Day with T's, because that is not the abbreviation. That is not the shortening of Patrick. Paddy with D's. When I first got to Canada and I saw people saying St. Patty's Day, I was just like, I want to stab you in the face. It's Paddy. My Uncle Paddy would be very mad if he knew you were saying Patty, not Paddy. Anyway, it's like a pet peeve of mine. It doesn't matter really in the grand scheme of things, but I was just like, no, it's wrong. Do you know the other thing that gets on my tits is people say wrong is in North America they say twat instead of twat when they're trying to say twat. T-W-A-T, there's an A there, it's twat. It's not twat. Unless you're trying to say T-W-O-T, then that's twat. But that's not a thing. It's twat. Say twat. It's twat. I hope there's no children listening right now, because they're picking up a new word. Twat's a good word, isn't it, really? It's a good, in the range of British swear words. Twat is, like a good medium, like low to medium offensive. Always a bit of a twat. It's not bad. It's not that bad. Kind of friendly swear word. Yeah. So hey, I've started dating. Well. So on Friday I went to the dog park and I met a couple there, and you know how I'm liking this nice little bit chin wag, and anyway they had been together for I think over a year, and I was saying, how did you meet? They said, we met on a dating app called Hinge, and I said, can't be bothered with dating, do you know what I mean? It's just because the messages you get are like, hi, literally hi, fucking riveting, or hey, I want to see your floppy tits or whatever. I know you want to see my floppy tits, but I mean, go on, give me a couple of messages first. And so they were like, oh, go on, do some dating. I said, okay, all right. Okay, so Friday night I went home, had a croissant. So I had a croissant. I don't normally like croissants, but it had cherry in it, so that was enjoyable. Croissant, and Facebook as a new feature, which is Facebook dating. don't know if you've noticed this. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And yeah, so signed up for Facebook dating. Very easy. Lots of matches, obviously, when you're as amazing as me. No, I think it's, when you start a new profile, they just put you in front of everyone so that you're like, oh my God, everyone loves me. And yeah, yeah. So like Friday night, two guys messaged me saying, so one guy, he was saying, he messaged me saying, hey, how you doing? And then he's like, oh, can we, I'd like to go on a date with you. And I said, oh, I'd like to chat a bit more just to make sure that we're compatible. I don't want to waste time on a date with someone that, you have not barely spoken to. I didn't say that to him, but I was like, yeah, give us a little more time before we go on a date. And so then conversation kept going, like maybe one or two messages. And he's like, oh, where do you live? And I said, oh, downtown. And then he's like, okay, great. Well, I'll be there in 30 minutes. So he thought 30 minutes is what I meant when I said, oh, I need some more time before a date. He says, 30 minutes, I'll be around yours. What coffee do you want to drink? What hot drink can I get for you? I was like, what? No, hello, no. One, we're in a pandemic and I don't want to die. And if you're so keen on meeting me after like two messages and you've fucking done it with other people, and therefore you're probably higher risk for the spreading of the virus. And two, no, go away. Like, I didn't invite you to where I live. And three, no, like, because you literally want to come around my house, which is against the rules, and people are not allowed in our houses, just to get your dick wet. No, go away. And so I said no. And he's like, come on, and yeah, just blocked him. And yeah, because before I used to be like, when guys would be like, come on, I'd be like, oh, they're trying to convince me. But now I'm seeing it like, no, they're not respecting my boundaries. I said no. I said no twice to him. I said no. And, instead of being like, oh yeah, of course, he was just like, no, man. I don't know if he was doing that voice, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so talking to this another guy, and so he's like, oh, I'm on vacation in India. And I thought, vacationing when we're not allowed. In Canada, they've stopped all the flights to Mexico and somewhere else, so people can't go on holiday. And so this guy's like, oh, I'm in India on holiday. And I was like, And I thought, well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So, maybe he's like, someone had died or something like that. Because he didn't say the word holiday. Maybe he did say vacation. Anyway, and so then, we're having a chat. Seems like an all right guy. And then he's like, oh, I'm back in Vancouver now. I've arrived back. And I said, oh, you're going to be quarantining now for 14 days, aren't you? And he's like, no, where I was in India is exempt from quarantine. And I was like, really? Because that sounds really fucking fishy. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to work tomorrow. And I was like, dude, that's like, in Canada, it's really serious. If you don't quarantine, how many years in prison can you get? I think it's something like 10 years in prison. And the fine is $1 million. So they're taking this seriously. Like, you got to quarantine. When I quarantined, every single day you have to check in. And yeah, so it's a big deal. And so I was like, really? And so I started Googling it to see, are these new rules that if you come from this one place in India, you don't have to quarantine? No, there's nothing about it. And so I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And so I had to call the non-emergency police line. I was really done. I was like, what do I do in this situation? This guy is like blatantly not quarantining, just going on vacation willy-nilly. The police were like, the non-emergency police line was like, unless you actually see him walking about, we can't do anything about it. I was just like, well, at least I've done my citizen's duty. Like, I've no. Oh. Oh my! I'm like, yeah. So Monday morning, I'm like, hello, police. I need to report someone. I didn't like doing that, but I thought, what if what if he kills someone? What if he kills someone? What if, and I could have done something about it, because he's just like, yeah, man, I'm just going to go out and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so I'm really surprised by a lot of these guys like, yeah, let's do this and let's have sex. And it's just, you're breaking the law, breaking the rules. So anyway, so that's my life. I'll keep you updated, because I'm sure that, Jesus, this has been like 3 days. Of dating, and already I've had to call the police. So I'll keep you updated on this. I'm going to try a different app. I'm going to go on like Hinge or OkCupid or whatever, because this Facebook dating, the caliber isn't there. So yeah, next time on the podcast I'll probably be like, yeah, so I don't even want to predict what I'm going to have to say. Okay, so in this episode, we're talking about changing your neural pathways and your unhelpful beliefs about your body and how you are not good enough, all that type of jazz. So just in case you're not familiar with that term, neural pathways, let's see what Wikipedia has to say about it. So Wikipedia says, a neural pathway is the connection formed by axons that project from neurons to make synapses onto neurons in another location to enable a signal to be sent from one region of the nervous system to another. Continuing, this is a different part in the Wikipedia thing. Neural pathways in the basal ganglia, in the cortico-basal ganglia thalamocortical loop, science, are seen as controlling different aspects of behavior. This regulation is enabled by the dopamine pathways. It has been proposed that the dopamine system of pathways is the overall organizer of the neural pathways that are seen to be parallels of the dopamine pathways. So there's loads of different neural pathways, different types of neural pathways within our body. And what we're focusing on in this episode is the idea of neural pathways being created that affect our behavior and the way we're acting, the way we're thinking, and how we have the ability to change them. So here's a little excerpt from so this is a neuroscientist, Dr. Tara Swart, a piece that she wrote. Okay, so neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change itself constantly by creating new neural pathways and losing those which are no longer used. Encouraging the brain's neuroplasticity is the key to sustained adult learning and emotional intelligence, which will help the brain remain open-minded, intuitive, and able to overcome biases throughout adulthood. Unfortunately, keeping your brain plastic and flexible isn't as easy as doing a daily Sudoku or crossword. For the brain to rewire itself, it requires sustained practice of a new behavior which will sufficiently challenge the brain to think in a new way. Imagine how difficult it is to learn a new language or take up a new instrument. This is how hard your brain needs to work to stimulate growth and forge new neural pathways. So I'll link to that piece by Dr. Tara Swart in the show notes, fistfight.com/podcast or fistfight.com/075, because this episode is 75. So neural pathways help our bodies do automatic things. This is very like basic. It helps our bodies do automatic things. And the pathways is literally like a path in which these things are firing to say, do that or do this. Okay. So when we think about thought or behaviors, then a lot of our neural pathways are really important. So neural pathways, a lot of them are really important. Like the ability to do things automatically, like brush our teeth or drive a car, or to be able to repeat your phone number or your postcode, or that CVV code at the back of your credit card when you're buying shit online, or knowing things like, oh yeah, the sky is blue, the sun will rise tomorrow. And imagine if we had to constantly think about how to brush our teeth, how if we went into like, we're like, oh, we need to do that thing where we make our teeth clean, and where is that we do that? Or the kitchen? No, it's the bathroom. Like, what is it that we use? Is it a toilet brush? Is it a hairbrush? Oh no, it's a toothbrush. What is this? What do we put on the, we don't need to think about it. We just do it, right? You don't even think about it. And how you're driving a car, you get to work and you're just like, you could have been asleep doing it because it's so automatic. And so they're great, right? So we have these neural pathways formed, so we don't have to think about these things. But then there are a lot of neural pathways that we have formed that are not helpful. And they're not helpful because they're supporting behaviors and patterns and beliefs that don't serve us. So what is a belief? So a belief is something that you have decided is a fact or is a truth, and that you've got to that conclusion through collected evidence and experience. So I like to think about our beliefs as we have, millions of different beliefs, and I like to think of them as suitcases. Imagine one of those old trunk suitcases. Lots of different stickers on the outside being like, I went to wherever. I went to Alberta one time. And that is the belief. Inside the suitcase is all of the things that make up the belief, is all of the evidence. And so some of our beliefs are very, when you open up the suitcase, say if, I don't know, I have the belief that broccoli is the best vegetable. And so if we open up my belief of broccoli is the best vegetable, you'll see maybe an article one time that I read in 2012 that said broccoli is the best vegetable. And that's it. That's all that makes up my belief of broccoli is the best vegetable. And maybe someone could come and say, actually, cauliflower is the best vegetable, and that belief of broccoli being the best vegetable will be thrown out because there's not that much evidence or support, there's not that much in the suitcase that supports my belief that broccoli is the best vegetable. Now we have other beliefs that are huge. Like we're carrying around that suitcase and we're like, okay, this belief, there is mountains of evidence and supporting experiences and anecdotes and all sorts of things in this suitcase. And some of them, they're great. So the belief of, the sun will rise tomorrow. Well, I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed, the world could end, but you have had your whole life of the sun rising in the morning to prove that it's going to rise. And so you've got however many years that you've been alive, you've got, scientific evidence that you are aware of, you've got all of society agreeing, yes, the sun is going to rise tomorrow. And so it would take a lot for you to unpack that suitcase piece after piece, for you to be like, do you know what? I don't believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow. It could take something, catastrophic, like, some evil villain taking the sun, or I don't know, something big happening, and then you're like, okay, well, the sun's not out, the sun's not rising, something big. But really, that is a big, juicy kind of will not change for the rest of your life belief. And so we have these beliefs which are just as filled as that, but with things which aren't as close to fact as that. So these things that could be unhelpful, like fat is bad, or my fat body is bad. And these could be very difficult to unpack, literally unpacking it and looking at every piece of evidence, every experience, all of that stuff, and saying, is this true? Do I want to believe this anymore? Do I want this in this suitcase? Do I want to burn this suitcase? The suitcase being the belief. And so we're lugging around all of these different suitcases. Some of them serve us. Some of them are not that important. Some of them have a couple of things in there, and some of them are really full. And some of them we do want to open and examine and change. So when we're thinking about changing our neural pathway, I like to really kind of make it simple. And I like to think about our neural pathways as roads. And our beliefs are the cars that drive on the road. So you have a belief, fat is bad. Your belief is the car is just whizzing down that road, unencumbered. It's a freshly laid road. There's no potholes, new tarmac. It's well signposted, lights, everything. It's a dream road, right? It's just the road you've gone down that road a million times before. You don't even have to think about it, right? So that car is just whizzing down that road. So the car being your belief, your thought, your pattern, your habit, and then the road being the neural pathway. It's just automatic, okay? And so when we try and change our beliefs, when we try and create new neural pathways, it's like you saying, as the driver of the car, okay, instead of going on that clearly well marked route that is easy, that is the path of least resistance, instead of going that way, which is easy, simple, done it a million times before, I'm going to take this car through that forest over there. That forest has no path, and there's a million trees, and you wouldn't even get 2 inches because it's covered in, bushes, and the car can't go out. In fact, you have to get out of the car, you have to walk on foot, and you can't even walk on foot because it's all tangled, and you have to use like a machete to cut down the growth, and 2 meters in, you're like, fuck that, get back in the car, go on to the normal neural pathway, the normal route. And so if you have this deeply held belief, your fat body is bad. So when someone like me says, just believe that your fat body is good, it's gorgeous, it's amazing. Obviously, I don't say just believe, but you get what I'm saying. It's like you're trying to force your car to drive in that jungle. It's just not possible. So the thing is, and that's why it's hard, right? It's hard. The thing is, it is actually possible. Not right in that very first time. That very first time, you're getting out of your car and you're surveying the situation and you're saying no. But the next time you make that journey, having the thought, my fat body is bad, you might be like, oh yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to spend 10 minutes just, knocking down that one tree so we can move an inch. And then, in the meantime, your thought, your car is going down that highway 100 times. And then maybe one time you might catch your thought and be like, all right, okay, so this time we're going to go back to that jungle and we're going to knock down another tree. And by doing that slowly, you're going to move forward. You're going to knock down a few more. You're going to clear the path. You're going to lay some tarmac there. Maybe you're going to put up some lights. And as you're working on that and improving that path, that neural pathway, your old pathway is becoming neglected. And maybe there's some potholes, like you still drive down there, but it's not as easy. So, there's some sort of tension there. So when you're thinking, I'm a disgusting piece of shit because I have a fat body, instead of being like, yep, that's 100% true, there'll be something in your mind where you're like hesitating of, I don't think that it is actually true, but I'm believing it at this moment, but let's explore a different belief that what I look like does not make up my worth as a human being. And in that moment of having that, let's explore that belief, what I look like is not important. You're building that new path, and it's hard, but you're doing it. So it's like that is hard. It's like, and what it's like is, have you ever seen that illustration where there's two people digging for gold? There's one person on the bottom and they are digging for gold, and they're like one rock away from finding the gold, and their back is turned and they're walking away because they're fed up. And the person above is behind them, but is still going for it and is getting close to the gold. It's kind of like that. Is when you're doing this work, it's so hard and you don't know how close you are to the gold. And so a lot of people just give up because it's hard. If you're trying to challenge this thought and it's like going through this jungle, there's no visual representation that you're succeeding, that you're getting there. You can't see, okay, well, there used to be 1,000 trees in my path and now there's only 100. I've done so well. I'm moving towards this. And before long, I know that other pathway is going to be overgrown and there's going to be trees grown there, and the lights are going to fade out eventually on that other path that used to be so comfortable and normal for me to go down. And so people give up because they can't see the process, or they don't understand the process. And the reason why this can be tricky is that we're not aware of the majority of the thoughts that we're having every day, right? We're having so many thoughts every day. And when we've had these beliefs for so long, it's just automatic, like breathing. And yeah, of course it's bad to be fat. Of course my body is unattractive. Of course I should hide my belly. Of course. And there's no reason to question that, because of course it's true. It's a fact. It's not a fact. It's a belief. But that's what our brains are saying. And so we're having to get into a state where we're training ourselves to try and catch one of those thoughts. And so catching one of those thoughts, just when I say catching them, it's recognizing when you have one. And you might not recognize 999,999 of them, but if you catch one and you say, okay, right, so I've caught one of these thoughts. Okay, I notice that I'm having this thought of I'm not good enough, that I need to hide my belly, whatever. And instead of just automatically being like, just letting it go and being like, yep, that's true, I'm bad, being like, is it true? Is it though? And even that, just that questioning of, is it though? You're building that new path. You're cutting down a tree. You're clearing the pathway just a little bit. And it could just be a second where you're like, is it? And then you're like, yeah, no, it is. It is. Back onto that other pathway because, well, that's the truth. I'm a piece of shit or whatever. And then you might have another million thoughts and then you'll catch another one. But you have to be trying to do it, right? You can't just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to let all of these thoughts whiz by and fuck it because they're all true. It's work, and we're doing this work, okay? So how to do this is catching those ones and to question them, and to support ourselves in radical ways to change our beliefs. So those suitcases, which are beliefs, those suitcases aren't shut. They're not permanently shut. And we're constantly either adding things in, or they're staying the same for a bit, or we can be taking things out. Our society means that our suitcases around our body and the beliefs around our body, how many suitcases we have, are constantly being filled with things that don't support our new beliefs of we're okay, our bodies don't define us, all that type of stuff. So just by existing in this world, you don't even have to be doing anything. Just by existing, that suitcase is getting filled more and more and more with stuff to support the belief that your body is not okay and that you need to behave and look in a certain way. And so you need to get radical in supporting the collection of evidence, experiences, supporting the growth of the stuff that's in the new suitcase being I'm okay, my body's okay. And so this too is difficult because a lot of times people think, oh yeah, well, I'm not dieting anymore and I'm following a few people on Instagram who are fat, so, you know, dust my hands off, I'm done. When you've been in diet culture and having these fat phobic beliefs for years, you don't realize how much shit is in your life still. And so it's only when you go through stuff with, with a fine tooth comb, is that fine tooth comb? Yeah. Or with someone who is able to spot these things more easily, then you think, holy shit, no wonder I'm struggling. When like with people who work with me, with clients, and we go through like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And they're like, well, fucking hell, no wonder I'm struggling to like myself when I have all of these things in my life that support the belief that I'm not good enough. And I didn't even realize that was a problem. And removing them is incredibly helpful. And the other thing to do is to get out of constant learner mode. So constant learner mode, we've spoken about it many times on the podcast, is that learning about fat acceptance and never taking action, because action is scary, but action is where the good shit happens. And not saying that you shouldn't learn, you should learn and also take action, okay? It's like 1 + 1 = 2. So 1 plus not taking action doesn't equal the 2. Okay, so being in your head can be helpful to work out how you're thinking and feeling and all that type of stuff. But doing the things to prove to yourself that you can do the confident things in a structured way is really going to help you build those neural pathways, right? Learning how to drive a car, you can't just learn by reading the manual. You have to go out and do learning the car so that it becomes automatic. You don't get that automatic, I know how to get to work without getting to work, driving the car, knowing the route, knowing what code to press to get into the building, all that type of stuff. You have to do it, right? So you have to do those things to support creating those new neural pathways. This thing makes me think about, so I've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race, UK and the US. They're on at the same time, which is great. Love me some Drag Race. And I just fucking love the way that they walk down the runway, just stomping and looking amazing. And I was like, I want to walk like them. I want to walk down the street, like stomping, looking like an amazing, human being. And so I walked my house, my apartment is on the end of the hallway in my apartment thing. So I was like walking down to the elevator, trying to do this, model walk. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. Not that there's any mirrors there. I don't know what I looked like, but I was like, I can't do it. And in my brain, I was like, they just know how to do it. They just do it. They can do it, and I can't do it. And then I was like, caught myself and I was like, really, Victoria? They can do it and you can't do it? They were born. They emerged from the womb being like, I know how to stomp on a runway. No, they didn't. What do you think they did, Victoria? And I was like, they practiced. Yes. And they looked in a mirror and decided, like, is this what I want to look like? Is it working? And they did it 100 times. And now it's just automatic. They automatically can do this and look amazing. And so I had got into that kind of, I tried it once and now I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not the type of person that can do it. Without being like, well, what is the reality? They've probably gone up and down, walking up and down, knowing how to walk, learning how to walk, perfecting their walk 1,000,000 times. And it's just automatic, you know? They just do it now. And it looks so easy because they've done the work to learn how to slay a runway, right? And because I tried it once, even though I had no idea what it looked like because there's no mirrors, I was just like, I don't feel like I'm on RuPaul's Drag Race right in this moment, even though I'm just like walking down the corridor with my dog, you know? So it's kind of like a reality check of, but what have you done to get there? It makes me think about, like, one time I was in, where was I? Like North Carolina, somewhere on the right side of the United States, and I was at this show, this conference thing where, not conference, what is it? Where loads of people go and there's like loads of things that you can buy. Convention. Anyway, so I was doing like there was a plus size fashion show, and so I was walking in that, and there were actual real models there, and I was like, how do you walk? And they were like, do this, do that, and I was like, cool. And oh my god, it felt like such a disaster. At the end of the runway, some motherfucker had put a fucking table, right? And so when you walk in, you can't look up. And I got to the end of the runway and my toe went over the lip of the end of the runway because I thought that I was going to be standing on that table because I didn't see it was a table. It looked like the end of the runway to me. And I had to do kind of like the, you know, in the cartoons, the swinging of the arms to make sure you don't fall. So that happened to me. But the good thing is, why I didn't steal the show because another one of the people who was not a proper model literally fell on her knees. It was okay because it wasn't a professional thing. It wasn't like we were in Paris or something. It was just a very casual kind of like, look at these things. So yeah, don't worry, Dave. It's fine. So I was like, I wasn't the only one acting a fool. Yeah, so. Okay, so changing your beliefs and your neural pathways, how to do it. We need to catch the thoughts that we can as they come up. And we're not going to catch 99.99999% of our thoughts. But if we can catch one of the thoughts and start to dissect it and start to question it, we can start to then build a new neural pathway. And the more that we do that, the more that new neural pathway becomes the path of least resistance, the more it seems like that's the right way for our thoughts and our beliefs and these automatic things to go that way instead of the old way. The old neural pathway, which is the one we want to make old, but might be current. We want to make that the least accessible because we are examining our thoughts and pushing them down this new neural pathway that we're creating, even though it's really fucking hard. We also want to support ourselves in radical ways. And understand that there are so many things in our lives that are supporting beliefs that we no longer want to hold. And so getting really, really strict with ourselves to remove all of the diet culture and fat phobia from our lives. And if possible, getting someone who is in this place, of body acceptance or even body love, to go through what we're doing with our lives and make sure that there are things that that we're not doing things or engaging in things which are not supporting our mental health in positive ways. And also, we need to get out of constant learner mode. So that is constantly learning about fat positivity and fat politics and all that type of stuff, but never taking action to do the confident things, because that is scary. So it's understandable if you're in constant learner mode, but we need to get out of it. We need to learn and do. And the doing will really help support the creation of new beliefs, new neural pathways, new thoughts, new behaviors. Because if we're doing the things, and it doesn't need to be the big, scary things, it can just be the first little step, we're collecting evidence to support the belief that we can do it. And the more that we avoid taking action, the more that is supporting the belief that we can't do it. Okay? So take action, support yourself in your life with what you're looking at, what you're consuming, who you're talking to, what you're talking about, what you're watching, all that type of stuff. And examine the thoughts when they come up. Whenever you can catch just one of them, because there'll be millions, and examine, is this a fact that my fat body is disgusting? Is that a fact? Is it black and white, a fact? Or is it a belief? And it could be a belief that I really, really, really believe. But is it a belief? And if it's a belief, I can start examining that and looking for evidence to support the new belief that I want. And the new belief is my body's okay. It's not about my body. Okay? 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 Are you feeling good? Is that supporting you? Is that helping you? I hope so. Well, you know what? I've been doing. I've got a new cross stitch. I got a new cross stitch finally, after many months of waiting for things to arrive. My new cross stitch is this medieval thing. You've probably seen it around. You've seen it around. It says, "Behold the field in which I grow my fucks. Lay thine eyes upon it, and thou shalt see that it is barren." So, for those on YouTube, I'm holding up a picture of the printout. Here we go. What it's going to look like. It's like a medieval thing of people pointing towards a field which has no fucks in it. So I've been doing that. So I've been having fun. And I've discovered that I've got an ear piercing. So I got my top ear pierced when I was like 14 or 15. I didn't even have my bottom ears pierced. I just got my top ear on my right ear pierced, and had the piercing in for maybe 2 weeks before it got infected. My mum saw it and was like, "Take that out of your ear." And what I thought closed over. It never closed over, because I think like most piercings never close over. They're just like hiding. And I was like, I wonder if that piercing's still there. And I put an earring there, and it was there. There's a fucking piercing in my ear that has been hiding. So I've got a new piercing in my ear. It's very cool. I've not had it for like 20, 30, however many years ago. I was 14. 22 years ago? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Life's amazing. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for hanging out with me today on the podcast, and I will see you next time. Stay fierce, fatty. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to the episode. And if you feel ready to get serious about this work and want to know when the doors open to Fierce Fatty Academy, which is my signature program where I teach all about how to overcome your fat phobic beliefs and learn to love your fat body, then go to fiercefatty.com/waitlist. Again, that is fiercefatty.com/waitlist to get your name on the waitlist for when Fierce Fatty Academy, my signature program, opens.